So today we are talking about the events in the court. As everybody was aware, we had uh, one petition from main creditor Elena Passat that requested the company put in reconstruction, and in parallel, Mr. Tice, as liquidator, has requested the company to be put in bankruptcy. Okay. The outcome is known. Tice has managed to put the company in bankruptcy again. Very important uh, message is that this was in the first court, and this is not a definitive decision. I have to explain something from the get-go because it's important that everybody that followed us understand and can relate to this. You can hear me. Everything is in order. I don't know if the sound is okay because I'm on my headset. So just confirm whether the sound is okay and you can hear me where somebody from the audience, I need a confirmation. Okay, so uh, the idea behind this reconstruction for those people that have just joined the channel, I need to put it very simple and very easy to understand, was that in the process of delivering results to Shape Robotics from the subsidiary, which was Shape Robotics Romania, former Story Kids, results that were delivered without any doubt. We requested some personal guarantees, me and Elena, who were the originators of Shape Robotics Romania, regarding our earnout for the results. This was registered and correctly uh, put into motion in through promissory note agreements registered in Shape Robotics Romania. What happened today is the judge, unfortunately, was not really very well versed into these documents, and I can say that also for the lawyers participating, they are not used to working with these documents because these documents have an origin that is a little bit more pro-Eastern European. Although, of course, these documents exist from the 30s and have always been an important instrument to guarantee through non-cash transactions. They exist more or less in governmental uh, bids and tenders and in the relationship between companies in Central and Eastern Europe in general. The promissory note is a very, very valid document, extremely simple, extremely direct. But today there was a discussion on the promissory note regarding the fact that Andre, so nobody contested the claim, everything was in order, but the question about the claim came from the fact that Andre was not valid, had not signed validly the promissory note on behalf of Shape Robotics Denmark. As far as I understand from the discussions in the court was expecting that on that promissory note there would be my signatures and Andre's signature to validate the fact that this is a valid claim on behalf of Shape Robotics AS, because it is already a valid claim in Shape Robotics Romania. So I don't know whether this is um something that we need to discuss right now and how we should interpret the decision of the judge. But for us, it was very important because we understand very well what are the limitations of our claim today. We already knew from day one that this is not going to be a decision that would be accepted lightly by Thais anyways, and we knew that we were going to go in appeal no matter what was the decision. So whether the reconstruction was started or it's not started like today, that decision would have been appealed. So this will be a decision that will be definitively tested in the High Court again. So for us, it is very good that at least we understand the level of um, complexity when presenting this claim. So at this moment, our claim and reconstruction was not awarded based on our claim due to some procedural facts that unfortunately I believe that, and our lawyers believe that were misinterpreted by the court. Because if you do a very simple search on Google, you would understand that the debitor in the and the creditor in the promissory note have a very special relationship, and that relationship is generally the one that it's designed in such a way that the creditor doesn't have to check how the debitor has fulfilled its internal procedural obligations. Okay, so whether there is a problem with undersigning this promissory note without my signature, which of course it's a little bit trivial, but let's put it like that. This was discussed in court. Um, this still is an internal problem of the company, not a problem for the quality of the claim. But unfortunately, the whole process here, and I think that this is something that we can elaborate a little bit. The bankruptcy courts in Denmark work a little bit strange, in my opinion, and of course our legal team opinion also, in the sense that they treat these situations quite superficially on a fast forward base. So imagine that during the meeting today, there was a third party in the meeting, an accountant. We didn't know who brought him in. And then we found out that actually Thijs was trying to put his own accountant as co-reconstruction lawyer. So he wanted to use a procedure in which to put together with Philip from Mazanti Anderson to put one of his guys as reconstruction accountant. This is not, from my point of view, this is good that the reconstruction was not open because we were never prepared for such a situation and could end up in a hostile reconstruction environment. And of course, Thijs is against the reconstruction. In order to cover his mistakes, he believes that now in this procedure that he refuses the claim and tries to re-put the company on a debt march. He will most likely be protected from his mistakes, but I can tell you that this is not happening. He's not protected at all. And for us, even if it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, the decision of the court today is a good decision for us in the sense that we managed to understand how the court thinks in relation to the reconstruction and how Thijs behaves in the relation to the reconstruction. It makes for us an easy path going forward for the appeal. So what will happen during the appeal? We will utilize a court, a Brussels 1 bis decision, which is the equivalent of a European enforcement order. The equivalent for Denmark, who opted out the European enforcement order, the only country in Europe to do so, because as you can see, the bankruptcy laws in Denmark are quite Angola-like, very special. So what I want to say is that by the time of the appeal, who doesn't take too long, 1.5 months, we will have a final decision from a Romanian court validated by a Brussels European intermediary, validating the claim through the promissory note. So this is the only thing that was missing. We will have it on the appeal. So the appeal, from my point of view, is already won. This document will be obtained maximum in a week or so, and then basically the claim will be validated in fully, and the reconstruction will be opened during the appeal. What is very important is that it's good that the reconstruction will be opened in an appeal because it's a definitive solution, and we will avoid this nonsense that Thijs wanted to play against us. So let me just explain what was the game plan and how we would have lost if the reconstruction would have been open. I think more than the reconstruction not being open. So there was a guy invited in the courtroom by Thijs to become accountant during reconstruction. This is a procedure that doesn't exist as compulsory procedure since 2011. So since 2011 in Denmark, it's not compulsory to have an accountant anymore as reconstruction partner. It was a compulsory before that, and there is a lawyer here. There is an accountant present because theoretically, if somebody would request an accountant to be present as reconstruction accountant, then the court will appoint that reconstruction accountant, even if the reconstruct because there are two different entities, the accountant and the lawyer. So Thijs would have been de facto co reconstruction lawyer through this proxy that he brought into the lawsuit today. A very shady kind of behavior. But the good thing is that we are not in this situation, and therefore we would be able to during the appeal procedure, we will have a court recognition of the. Can you see me? I think I lost the image. I am back, but I don't know if my camera is on. Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me all okay? I'm sorry, I had to disconnect from the wireless in the hotel. It's not so good. Just confirm if you can hear me and see me okay. So to continue where hi Jorgen, to continue where we left off. So, Theo, this is very technical, and first of all, we are fighting in an asymmetric kind of warfare here because we are alone, and they have 1,600 or I don't know how many lawyers in the company in Kroman Reumert. So it is crucial for us to understand what is their game plan when they are attacking us or counter-attacking us. Okay, so for we will always have a higher chance on winning an appeal, like it happened during the bankruptcy proceedings, which was the magnum opus of our work. And I'm pretty sure that now it gets very complicated because we have another appeal coming this week, which is again in the High Court. And this appeal is the appeal for the decision to name Thijs as liquidator. And I will share something interesting for you because if this appeal, which we believe is quite strong, will be in our favor, Thijs will be removed as liquidator, which automatically removes him as curator now and automatically opens the reconstruction procedure, or less automatically than that. Of course, we will have to have a court, some sort of a meeting, because there's Thijs will be removed as the liquidator, the position of Thijs as liquidator being the one that opened the bankruptcy proceeding today and blocked the reconstruction. So in probably end of this week or beginning of next week, according to the High Court, we'll have a ruling in the conflict of interest of Thijs with his position as liquidator, which all of these things still remain. So I don't want you to fall, uh, let's say, hostage to the Borsen. And although it was quite funny today during the trial, Thijs has given the judge an article from Borsen as reference to say that Andre didn't know about something or whatever. So imagine that they don't have too many arguments if they are utilizing uh, uh, newspapers to convince the judge about something or another. So, without commenting too much on the decision of the judge today, I believe that it was quite difficult to understand the nature of the promissory note, and it is something that she's not used to working with. So we're not doing any sort of accusations on those decisions. What I need to tell to everybody again is this is not a definitive decision. And it's very important for us to follow the procedure correctly and to be able to defend ourselves. And for that reason, I am, of course, much more prepared right now for an appeal than I was yesterday. In the sense that even if we would have opened the reconstruction today, TICE would have placed a proxy in the reconstruction, as we were not be ready to deal with that situation. And we would have an appeal run by TICE. Now, at least in the appeal, which is the last court, we will be the ones supporting our requests and our claims. So I need for everybody that is following, very important. Appeals are the ones that are important and they are the definitive solution bringers everywhere. What is peculiar here in the reconstruction, in the bankruptcy courts in Denmark, is that decisions do not have delayed effect. Okay? But to give you and this is something that we have managed to block also the discussion with our lawyers also in Denmark, is because right now there is a pending reconstruction request that has not received a definitive judgment. And in the meantime, there was a different judge that opened the bankruptcy proceeding on Shape Robotics, although there was a pending reconstruction request from Shape Robotics that is not appealed yet. So it's not a definitive solution. And there are some very tricky fine line aspects here that we need to look into, because decisions on fast forward that happen in bankruptcy courts could lead Shape Robotics in the following situation. And I want to make a very simple, let's say, uh, example as a parallel. So imagine that you have a decision against, somebody has a decision against you to sell your house. You appeal that decision, but in the meantime, they sell your house and kick you out of the house and you win the appeal. How can you get your house back? So we are very in the same situation with Shape Robotics from day one. We won the appeal, but we were kicked out of the house. And now the construct is that anyway, you have to go back into bankruptcy and be kicked out of the house. But this is a totally different environment of this current bankruptcy, because this is a much easier overrule of this bankruptcy than it was first time. So our chances, I would say, that are higher than 85% to have TICE removed very soon, because it's based on nothing what he's doing right now. And I repeat to everybody, the company was not bankrupt at the beginning of January. It was bankrupted due to the fact that we didn't appear in court. If we would have appeared in court, then the company would not have been declared bankrupt. So who is to blame for the loss of value of the company? And I see a lot of discussions about shareholders and business value and frivolous lawsuits. This is not frivolous at all, because there is loss of value that is generated by a decision that was definitively considered unlawful. So everything that is lost in those 59 days is either to be blamed on the management of the company at that time, which was TICE, or on the court itself. So that's why I believe right now that the same court that took a decision against Shape would be very afraid to do any sort of other decisions that might be overruled in an appeal. So they work very conservatively right now. So they just keep the status quo, which means that they keep TICE in his position just to try to prove that they were right from the beginning. I think it's a very sick kind of an approach, but it is an approach that it can be considered. So, okay, we made a mistake. It was overruled by the High Court, but we put TICE back on to fix that mistake. I'm not, again, trying to say anything against the decision of the judges. I'm just commenting on the elements that give us a good cause for appeal. So again, the promissory note is super strong. It was not well understood today in court because probably some procedural things that we also missed. But for me, it's very good that we managed to not start the reconstruction because we would have entered in a territory that we were not prepared to have a reconstruction in which Thais was also part of. So right now, it's the best thing that could have happened to us is not to have this reconstruction started with in such a format that is uh, with Thais getting involved. So we have the company now in bankruptcy, but both decisions are getting appealed. And also there is an appeal right now that soon will have a definitive answer, which might put Thais in a conflict and remove him as liquidator. So should that happen and Thais is getting removed as liquidator from Shape Robotics due to the decision of the High Court, hi Peter, then imagine the show. So keep your heads up. This is a tough game from day one. We won most difficult battles. It is important for us to understand the exactly where we are good and where we are weak. And for us, it was a very important court date, like the last one and this one, to understand exactly what do we face. So nothing is lost. Everything is it where it's supposed to be today, in the sense that neither decisions would have been definitive. We know more than we knew yesterday, and we will prepare very well the appeal, and of course we will win um, in the high court. I have no doubt about it. And for the shareholders that think that the value is lost, I was proposing a solution that keeps value for the shareholders. The only solution that keeps value for the shareholders and can restart the company in a different environment like phase was to get the reconstruction done. And the appeal will open the reconstruction and the reconstruction will be done. It doesn't matter if it starts now or it starts in 1.5 months. It is important to start on solid grounds. Okay, let's take some questions. Jorgen, if when Thais gets removed, who will take over? The court. So it will be like this. If the high court will be very similar to the bankruptcy petition, in the sense that if Thais is being removed as liquidator, the file will be sent back to the lower court to Handelsretten, and the judge from here has to appoint a new liquidator. Most likely, it will appoint the liquidator that was to be the reconstruction lawyer. So a new liquidator will be appointed. If, of course, if Thais will be removed as liquidator for the reasons that we think that he is, um, how it's called, conflicted. But if the judge will decide that the procedure itself is bad, then again will be sent to retrial, then it will be back to day one again. So this is a very big problem and I think that this requires a lot of attention also from higher courts. Are you worried about the time it could take to get a court date for the high court since Thais is curator now? What do you mean worried about the time? Thais cannot change the dates for the high court. I don't expect him to be that influential. Or what exactly would you like me to answer? So the high court it moves quite fast in 2 months, and already here 1 month they are preparing for a decision. So we need definitive solutions, Peter. We cannot work on decisions that are temporary because we don't want to fall into the trap that Thais has fallen into. Okay, so we need decisions that we can count on. Because imagine that uh, if we would have opened the reconstruction today, let's say in the best scenario possible, Thais would have appealed it and blocked it. So it's exactly the same situation. You need to remember something. The real center of business is not in Denmark. So Thais is not really relevant for the only relevance Thais has is for the shareholders because by destroying value in Denmark is only affecting the shareholders, but his position is already destroyed in relation to the real creditors that come from Romania. So most of the creditors come from Romania. They don't come um, from Denmark. So what I'm trying to say is that at this moment, the shareholders have something to lose in relationship to the um, Danish subsidiary, but the real creditors that have solid claims coming from Romania or from Finland will get their money, most likely from Thais, if he continues in this way. So I must say that for the shareholders, the only option available was the reconstruction, because it would have been it is a reconstruction that gives value back to the shareholders. No, Peter, the more so to the damages he could cause until the court day comes. But I don't think that he can cause any more damage. The company is dead from the first bankruptcy. So at this moment, I think that we can do damage to him more or less. So imagine it like this: it's very Sun Tzu. If the the other part does mistakes, just congratulate them and let them do more mistakes. So the pressure is on him, not on us right now. So the shareholders just have to be patient and that to be convinced that we have a fighting chance. Imagine that, for instance, the DFSA will rule that Thais has committed market abuse in the next 1 or 2 weeks. What then? So ask yourself who has the more difficult position, us or Thais? As shareholder, I can understand that you have your money blocked, but this was not an easy picking. And I saw today a stupid comment from our favorite idiot Progression, who was congratulating Nasdaq for not resuming trading. But if the trading was resumed, then we would have had money to pay everybody. So people tend to forget. Honestly, the maritime court has almost zero experience working with publicly listed company. The judge today didn't know what a promissory note was. So that's what I want to say. Bo was in court. Hi, Bo. He can also confirm or infirm if the judge understood what a promissory note was. Oh, it is important for the Romanian, maybe the audience that is here. Hi. During the, let me explain something why this promissory notes are so powerful in the Eastern Bloc, because during the USSR days there were two type of currency. It was the Beznal and the Deznal, Vesnal and Deznal. So you had a currency that was basically paper money, a non-liquid currency that was utilized between the payments from the governmental institutions and the governmental-owned factories. And you had the other currency, which was the liquid one, which you pay salaries. So a lot of the non-liquid transactions that take a lot of payment terms are done through these instruments that are equivalent of cash transactions. So a promissory note or a check have some similarity in the sense that are utilized as non-cash transactions in this sense. So a promissory note is much more, you are much used to it if you come from our part of the world, which is a direct vestige of this kind of transactions that existed for tens of years during the communist regime. So I don't think the judge understood the promissory note. It's not used in Denmark from the 60s, as I understand. Maybe Bo can. He was my translator, and I appreciate his support. He was there in court, very strong, and say what he saw. Also, I lost my video feed. Hello, hello. Okay, let me check for the questions. Hey, hey. So it is exactly like the longer term, we didn't change anything. The decision to start the reconstruction will be taken by the High Court. So this is where the playground was from day one. Unfortunately, the shit show will continue in the sense that imagine that those decisions will annul all the decisions again, and bankruptcy for probably will be overruled again. But in the end, it is what it is. This is how the courts try to fast forward decisions here in Denmark. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Depends on the which part of the decision you are. But again, this is a decision for the High Court. Okay, let's see what other questions. Please ask me if you have. I'm doing this from my mobile phone, so it's a little bit tougher to see the questions as they don't come on a separate tab. But please ask me. Everybody could hear me, understand what I was saying? I have no clue if I'm still on. I'm still connected. Hello. Okay, so if there are no other questions, what? No, no questions. Then I think that I informed you sufficiently. So, like I said, don't don't fall for these traps. These are not definitive solutions, definitive decisions. Like I said from day one, we will wait for definitive solutions, and that's the only way to move forward. So I have received today questions from finance again. Will you appeal? Of course, it's normal. It's compulsory to appeal. There is a new demand for 500,000,000 crowns. How did it increase at the trace of cost? What do you mean new demand? The whole demand is 500,000,000. There's not a new demand. Or you got the information there is a new demand for 500,000,000? No, I don't understand exactly. Peter. So the total debt of the group is half a billion, out of which almost 350,000, no, 400 million comes from Romania. I don't know if it's increased. I have no clue if it is increased or not. I don't know. This is what I said, but I said many things. Today he lied in court like an asshole. So he was very, very. Um, Again, I'm used to court hearings in Romania where you are allowed time to prepare. So, for instance, I heard the first time the some things that Thais was saying today. For instance, that he has the support of Unicredit to put the company in bankruptcy, which is absurd because I know I've spoken to Unicredit in Romania and they want to put the bankruptcy claim on Thais. So they are completely against Thais. I don't know how he got himself thinking that Unicredit is supporting him. No, not at all. And he, of course, didn't provide any sort of proof. So he just, it's like Bo said, it's about trust. And of course, we come from Romania. Romania is considered a shady country. Everybody you see fraud, blah, 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 all these things surrounding. And instead of us looking at documents and trying to put things in the right way, no, we are talking about impressions. So I believe that it's a lot of noise surrounding the company, a lot of impressions. Also, the judge has decided a little bit on impressions today. Uh, let's give the appeal court time to process this, because the appeal it's crazy. So this court requires, it's an open discussion, but the appeal courts are behind closed doors. So it's three judges looking at all those discussions and reading documents, instead of this court hearing today when was a lawyer talking to another lawyer. Because this is how it works here in Denmark. You know, it's not the same for my Romanian followers, for instance. It's not the same. In Romania, you have to be very thorough when preparing everything, and to make sure that the other party had time to read those documents and come with counter arguments. Because, for instance, today, like I said, Tai said that he has the support of Unicredit, which is false. It does not have the support. It's a lie. Of course, he didn't present any document to support that, but it's the great ties against the crooked Romanian, you know. So, um, yeah, this is the battle that we're fighting. Questions, please. Yes. On conclusion, I learned the process. So shareholders have only one chance, and that's a reconstruction without dilution. So with the destruction of this, because it is very simple. If 400, almost 400 million of the total debt is caused by the bankruptcy itself, the goal was to cancel all that and convert it into something that was before the bankruptcy. Okay, let's put it in a simple way. So our goal through reconstruction was to try to bring back and repair as much as possible the company to the state that it was before the pump and dump and before the bankruptcy. That's our plan of reconstruction. But nobody wants to hear this plan of reconstruction, honestly, because what they want to do is just to go fast forward on the bankruptcy itself, although shareholders stand only to lose from the bankruptcy. Creditors, for instance, including Elena, they have absolutely no problem, because in the end, this will be a bankruptcy that will be run by the Romania subsidiary anyways, because this is the legislation. All the interest, the center of interest is in Romania. So forget about ties. But the battle here is for you. And the idea is that from my point of view as a CEO of this company, I'm trying to bring back the value pre-pump and dump. I always talk that the problem was the pump and dump, and I explained how clearly the pump and dump existed. So there are two worlds here. One world is the one where the bankruptcy takes place, and the other one is the world where the pump and dump takes place, you know, where the shareholders have lost so much. So if we could offer a plan of reconstructing the debt, that including litigation rights, that including haircuts, that included also shares, but in a minority percentage, then we could restart the engines of the company as it is. We hire new employees. We bring Jorgen as investor relation. We bring Peter as sales. We try to reconstruct from zero. It's not really a problem. Okay. But most important aspect is to run away from this crazy loop that we are caught into, this catch 22, where we are fighting an asymmetric warfare, and the only way we can win it is by understanding a little bit what is the reality of the business. Okay, so this is not a Danish problem. It is a problem in Romania and Finland, where ties has destroyed value. Because, okay, I will close with a rhetorical kind of argument and let you think about something. The company was declared bankrupt on the 6th of January. We made publicly an appeal. Okay, we have said that there is an appeal. Okay, this appeal And during the whole bankruptcy proceedings and everything, we have said that there is an appeal and we fought against the bankruptcy proceedings. Thijs, knowing that there is an appeal, he should have kept the status quo of the company and protect as much as possible the companies. But let me explain to you something that really will be a game changer here. So Thijs came today and said that the promissory note is not a valid claim. Okay? But Denmark cannot exist outside the realm. It's a group of companies. This claim, he knew about this claim from Romania at the beginning on the 26th of January. From 26th of January, taking aside the days that I was back as a CEO, he had 3 months in which he could have contested the claim in Romania. Actually, he had an obligation during the 59 days to contest the claim that generates from the promissory note. But I didn't contest the claim. The claim is registered in Romania as a promissory note claim, and it's the lead claim in Romania. And by doing now this lawsuit by presenting this in Denmark as not a valid claim and attacking the promissory note, he just confirmed to us that he didn't do his duty during his tenureship as bankruptcy curator and de facto administrator of the assets of Shape Robotics, including Shape Robotics Romania. So to explain it clearly, by him not contesting the claim in Romania and allowing it to mature, because there is no possibility to contest it anymore in Romania, the same claim. Okay, it's very technical, I know, but you will understand because you are all smart people. So the claim was generated in Romania and it had the collateral coming as an aval guarantee from Denmark. Our right is, till the claim is settled, is to go in both directions. So we have a full claim registered in Romania and the same claim is not registered in Denmark yet. It will be after the appeal for sure. But what it happens today, Thijs just confirmed that he didn't do his duties in Romania because he thought that this claim was not valid to be registered, but he let it be registered in Romania, where it's definitively registered. So imagine that our counterclaim coming now from Romania as main creditor will be, Thijs, you destroyed the value of the company in Romania. And you just prove it by saying in court in Denmark that this was not a valid claim and you let it uh, uh, become a valid claim in Romania. Makes sense what I'm saying? Because it's quite sophisticated. I want to make sure that I explain it correctly. Let me know if it makes sense. Hello, hello. Good. So that's basically the bankruptcy has contaminated. So an unlawful bankruptcy opened on the 6th of January without us being present. The final decision from the High Court. When this bankruptcy has opened, the subsidiaries started registering claims in Denmark. Claims that derived from the bankruptcy in Denmark. So the bankruptcy has contaminated the subsidiaries with this level of debt that was default on diverse facilities, promissory notes, credit cards, whatever, yeah, cars, whatever the company had, because the company Thijs had an obligation to protect those assets. So he needed to call Unicredit, whatever. Guys, please wait. I'm in charge of the bankruptcy. Let's see. Maybe I want to sell Shape Robotics Romania, let's say, to somebody that wants to pay it, but please keep it valuable. No, he didn't do shit about that. No. So he basically let them sleep and he only looks after the interests of Danske Bank or maybe Carnegie, because I tend to believe that it's actually Carnegie in the end. Good, guys. I will have to disconnect now. I think that I informed you as best as I could. And we'll see each other tomorrow. I will still leave tomorrow from Denmark, so I still have some work to do here. So we'll let you know on how it goes. Have a good evening. Bye bye.